This video introduces you to a strategy for doing research that librarians call pearl growing. And basically, when you find one good scholarly source about a particular topic, one of the best ways to get more sources that are related to that are also of very high quality is to look at which works this particular author, him or herself, cites. So what works did they look at in order to write the piece that's in front of you? So let's say you're very interested in environmental dimensions of World War II in something we call Total War. Now this piece is by an historian, and it's a very recent piece. It's from 2015. So we know it's quite recent in that all the literature that this person looked at is quite updated. So it can be a real advantage to look at quite recent work for this. And so one of the best ways to do this is to look at the citations or the bibliography of a piece like this. In this case, this essay has endnotes, and so all of the citations are at the end. And then what follows these endnotes is a bibliography, and I'm actually going to suggest for this time just to look at the bibliography. So that's alphabetized by authors' last names. And what this immediately gives you are some pretty great recent sources about the environmental impact on World War II. Now, in order to be able to tell what sources are, you need to know how bibliographical entries are made. And so for history and related fields, when you see something in quotation marks, it means it's a shorter piece. And that's either an academic journal article or a chapter in an edited book. So in this case, this piece by Armiero, Making Italians Out of Rocks, this is definitely an academic journal article. And the thing that's in italics is the title of the journal. And so there's a journal out there that scholars publish in called Modern Italy. Now, if you see something that's italicized, that the title of the piece is italicized, that means it's a book. And that's either by one author, or it can be by multiple authors, or it can be a collection of essays that have been published as a book. But when you see it italicized like that, it means it's a bigger piece of work. So it's important to know this so that you then know how to track down the information. Let's say, for instance, that you wanted to get this article by Armiero called Making Italians Out of Rocks. And what I'm going to do here is to actually copy that, but you could just note it down, and then go to the Murphy Library website. Now what's great is this is a recent change they've made, and you can search for books and articles in the same place. So it actually does simplify it by some degree. And so we'll do a search for that and see if we have access to it directly through Murphy Library. I am not yet seeing it, so let's click on articles over here at resource type to see if we can subdivide this and make it a better response. So here it is right here. Now we can't get it immediately through our current resources, but the way you would be able to get this is through interlibrary loan. And so you need to sign in for that. And basically it'll send out a request to other libraries that do have the right kind of subscription in order to get that particular piece. The same is true if you find the title of a book that you very much want, and we don't have it in either Murphy Library itself or the UW system, then you can search in other libraries all across the country. It does take a little longer to get this work in, but just know that you actually have access to virtually everything that's published out there. It looks like I'm having some trouble signing in. That happens, especially when you're at home. But that's how you would find that particular article, but it's important to know it's an article, so you could do that step to subdivide it and get right to that source you wanted. But let's look at a different thing. Let's look at this book title, The Environmental Consequences of War. You can do the same thing, and you can search at UW, or if you're just interested in what we have here at UWL, it'd be right there. But let's search in the whole UW system. And I'll just take it a moment. Now, that piece was again called The Environmental Consequences of War, and it's by Austin and Brook. So we're looking for that, and once again, a good way to do this, to find the right resource would be to click on books, but here it is right here. That's the right um, set of authors. Now what this tells us is that we have it in the UW system, but Murphy Library does not have it, the book itself. If we had it, you would get information like this one. It would give you exactly where to find it at UWL's Murphy Library. In this case, what you would click on is Get It, and then you would request it via the UW system, and you just sign in using your ID and password, and then request that the information be, or request that the piece be sent to Murphy Library. This doesn't take as long as interlibrary loan. It takes a few days, but it just means that everything in all of the UW system is available to you, whether it's in Platteville or Green Bay or Madison. We can get that here in just a day or two. As I